Hey folks, check this out. My name is Norseman, and in this video we're going to build a ninja shelter. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and ringing that little notifications bell. And here's a pro tip. If you ring that bell, YouTube will actually notify you when I upload new videos and you don't have to miss a thing. And it's free, so how cool is that? This is Survivology 101, so let's go. I said let's go. What are you waiting for? Come on. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to have a shelter right now? No time to waste, no time to fiddle around with cutting down trees and building elaborate structures, but you had to get out of the weather now. Well, that's what this shelter was designed for. So about 6 years ago, I put together a video called the Ninja Shelter. And I didn't make any claim to the actual triangle shelter. That structure has been used a lot. But what I did do was I developed a way to pack it down and carry it with me everywhere I went. I kind of improved it for my needs, and at the time my needs were lightweight and packable as a backup. So since I released that video, I've seen a lot of different versions of it. They all call it the Ninja Shelter. That's awesome. But that actual video isn't that great. So I thought that I would come out here and put together another video and show you some other options for it so that you too can have a Ninja Shelter packed away and ready to go at last minute in case of any kind of an emergency. So the first step in this process is to find a suitable location. You gotta have a sturdy object, a tree, a telephone pole. I've actually done it off the mirror of a motorcycle. The ground should be relatively flat. Now this tarp is a Jervin fjellduken from Norway. I picked it up in Norway, but I'll show you later that you can do this with any tarp, not just this one. The second step is to secure your main line. And since most of these tarps aren't perfectly square, you want to lay it out flat and figure out which side you want the long edge on and which side you want the short edge on. What I have are all these pieces of nano cord in every eyelet on my tarp. They stay there permanently, and they have a series of knots tied in them so I can adjust where exactly I want to hook it up without giving it too much thought. So once this end is secured, the next point is to follow this eyelet down to the opposing corner and stake that one in. Once that one's staked down, we follow it up on the opposing corner sides. And now the shelter is complete. Alternatively, you can move the pin on the far side and close it up and make a much smaller shelter with one vertical wall. So this is one option for the layout. And while it's not absolutely necessary, it is beneficial if you take an extra tent stake and stake that line out so it gives you just a little bit more ground cover. So one question I get asked whenever I teach this method is, why did I call it the Ninja Shelter? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a small subculture of people who just kind of crash camp. Roll off the side of the road, crash out in the bushes, get up before the sun, and keep rolling, either on bicycles, motorcycles, cars, whatever. It's just a free way to travel. Well, in certain circles, that's called ninja camping. Hence, the Ninja Shelter. The point is, you can put it up in under a minute at last light. You can take it down in under a minute at first light and be gone before anybody knows you were there. So another question I sometimes get asked is, when would you use this shelter? And the answer is any time that you would want to use a shelter. Because of the elastic cord, it's real stable in high winds. It has full overhead cover for rain and snow. It's low to the ground. It's very easy to camouflage if that happens to be your thing. And it's quick and efficient. So what about the winter time? I recently had my two friends, Robert Mania, Practical Survivor, and Mikhail Merkirioff from Emberlit up here for a winter camp. And Robert Mania did something interesting, and he built a ninja shelter, but he also turned it into a super shelter. So it was like a ninja super shelter. And he got it to, the best that I can remember, about 80 degrees on the inside when it was negative 20 outside. So you can't really argue with that kind of detail. So in this bag are some additions that would make this a really good start on a warm winter shelter. you want to take the roof off and fold it over the backside to give you room to work, and then you build the liner the same way you built the shelter in the first place. So in order to put our space blanket into use on the inside of the shelter, we're going to need some small, smooth pebbles and our 4 cords. Before you can build the liner, you have to secure your Indian buttons on all 4 corners. In some cases, you want to attach an extra hank of nano cord to one of the corners. Now I'm going to use the little bungee cord and the 3 extra pegs that I have to set up the liner. So of course this bungee cord can be replaced with just a piece of cordage or anything you can find if you don't happen to have one. But we set up the Ninja shelter, we set up the liner for it, and I hope that you see with the combination that, especially the way we set up the liner, you can take any piece of anything that you can find that will work as some sort of tentage that's big enough to cover your body. It can be a piece of scrap plastic, it can be a painter's tarp, it can be an old curtain, anything. And maybe a pair of bootlaces, and you could set up a shelter practically anywhere in no time at all. So I have one final question for you. Do you see any improvements that we could do to it to make it better, stronger, quicker? If so, put that down in the comments. Maybe we can experiment with it, and maybe we can make it a better shelter than it already is. I hope you all enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. If you try it, you can connect with me here in the comments or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I will see you on the next one.